Now when people are like rude, I want to be like, can you just be better? Like you have to understand, like look how close you are to people that obviously hate this. Can you just walk that way a little bit? You know, but there seems to be some sort of, I don't know, some of them have a entitlement. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not breaking any laws. So here we go. Yeah. It's like, well, you're breaking a certain law. It's like the law of etiquette, like what it is to just be courteous to others. It's not that difficult, man.
Welcome back to the show. There's no telling where we'll go. So come and share a laugh on the Imp And Skizz podcast.
New stuff. We got new stuff. It looks great.
Does look
it
great.
looks really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, this is what I was hoping it would be.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I was so weird. This couch was so deceiving to me because I was like, I could have sworn I saw the picture of it. I'm like, dude, there's no way.
You thought we were going to be sitting on top of each other.
I did.
Couch. For all of our audio listeners who have no idea what we're talking about, we've got a new set.
Yeah.
I like calling it a set here for the podcast. And still dealing with some acoustics and a guy cutting tile right outside our window. So you might pick up on some of that. If you're really an audiophile listening through some fancy headphones or something, you might hear it. But it shouldn't be too bad. No. But here we are. Nice and comfortable.
Looking good, feeling good.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. It's you know what? It's good that we feel good for this topic because I think it's going to be a fun one, even though we're talking about something that kind of sucks.
That's true.
And it's so this one we're calling this is called Come On Man. And let me do a little background here. Is we're huge football fans, and they don't own this phrase. The NFL doesn't own this phrase.
Don't you be trying to sue us.
They don't own it or this energy by any means, but they do this bit where when people just do things throughout the week that is just sort of like, what are you doing? Come on, man.
You're
you know,
right.
Stuff like that. And it's more of a lighthearted
because people
take.
suck.
People
no,
can
not all
suck.
people.
No,
not all people suck.
Lots of people can suck, and that's what we're talking about here. Is we're talking about just the new. I called it the breadcrumbs, right? The Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs. Mm-hmm. When you see things around like the world, where you're like, that look, an a-hole was here. You know what I mean? Like you just know. Like I'm gonna and there's
you start with like the absolute worst one, I think.
No. I'm gonna start with I want to dive into the little things that are just like, come on, man. And one of them, I'm just going to say it, dude. Now, here's the thing. Hold on. I want to be very clear about this. A lot of people listening, not a lot. I have a feeling sometimes somebody's be like, well, I do that.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up too, is like, these might be things people don't even realize are not cool.
Well, you ever play the game A-hole or idiot? It's when something happens and you're like, okay, is that person an a-hole? Or are they just lacking awareness? Because that's the case sometimes, right? And that is, but sometimes there's things where it's like, no, that was just something you shouldn't do. And I'm just gonna start with a small one, and it's a teeny one, because we're gonna talk about benign ones, and we're gonna talk about some more bigger stuff. Come on, man. So there's come on, man, and then there's come on, man. You know what I mean? Those are different.
There's two different tones.
Yeah, two different tones. When I go to use a public urinal and there's gum in it, or there's like a chew packet in it, right?
Or anything. Like I've seen an empty box, cigarette box. Like
what?
People just straight up throwing trash in the urinal. I was telling my wife about this last night because I was reviewing our list that we made together with her. Yeah. And she was like, people do that?
Yeah.
We don't have that problem in the women's bathroom. What's going on? Why would they do that? Because they're jerks.
It's unbelievable.
Like don't throw anything in there. It's to pee in.
I feel like they're peeing in there. Like, you know what? I don't want this gum anymore. And they just let it fall. It's like, what? Somebody's got to pick that up.
That's the thing. Somebody has to clean that now, and that's not fair to them. That's why it's so rude.
It's so rude, and it's equally. You know what? I would argue it's even worse when they just like walking down the street. I'm done with this gum, and just spit it out onto. You've stepped in gum,
yes,
right? And we've all done that.
Yeah, that's the worst. Like I'm always like that. It immediately just makes me so upset.
I'm so like I literally when I step in gum. I'm just like, I would be happy to step in 2 pieces of gum if I could just be there while the person did this. You know what I mean? And it reminds me, there's a scene from Pulp Fiction where Vince is the name, right? Played by John Travolta. Isn't it Vince? Right? It's Vince and Jules.
Yeah, that sounds right.
We both did this thing.
Yeah. I actually haven't watched Pulp Fiction in a while.
Yeah, it was so it's Vince, and he's talking about somebody keyed his car, and he really likes his car, And, he's a very dangerous character. So we know what he would have done. And he goes, I wish I caught him. It would have been worth getting my car keyed just to catch him. You know what I mean? And that it was like, sounds so crazy, but I feel the same way when there's gum on the street and I'm just like, what are you doing? Yeah. Why do you got to be like that? Just be better. Yeah. Be better. Come on, man.
People you see like trash that's like feet from a trash can. And it's like, really? You couldn't be bothered to go the extra 2 feet to throw your trash where it goes.
Yeah.
All right.
Unreal.
I'm going to look at the list because
we have a list.
There's so many things.
We have a list and it's on our phones because we decided let's not print it out.
Yes. Moments ago before we hit record, Skizz said, "Oh, can we just print this?" And I was like, "Well, that's going to take up half our day."
Yeah,
because I never once had a positive experience with a printer.
Me neither.
In fact, I don't rage that often. I have it takes a little bit for me to get to that point, but then when I'm there, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like I explode, right? I actually exploded on a printer once. I did. I exploded on a printer once. It was.
Did you go all Office Space on it?
I went Office Space on it fully. And if people know that seen Office Space, there's no print and PC load letters after that. I literally Hulk smashed the thing. I was so mad.
They make me crazy. Why I buy a printer for like $80. Here we go. This is the come on, man. This is to commerce. Listen, if you're making home printers, listen up. Why is it you can buy a printer for $85 and then the cartridge is $65? Right. What is that?
Yeah, it's like cheaper to buy a new printer every single time. Because it comes with a little bit of replace the ink. What is wrong with that? Like, there's so much trash.
We are complaining a lot.
Yeah, this is so bad.
That's what we're doing.
This is a negative podcast today. We're venting. Venting's good because I just said like, when I build up enough, I explode.
Yeah.
So to make sure that doesn't happen, I just release a little bit.
A lot of the pressure valve there.
Just a little bit at a time, as long as I'm not bringing people down too much. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's so much trash on our landfills because they can't just like make a printer that lasts.
Yeah.
And so like every, I don't know, half a year, I have to get a new printer. It's so bad.
It's nuts. And getting the ink is it's such a hard pill to swallow. Like the ink is like 60 to 80% of the price of the printer.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Let's move off printers.
I hate printers.
Question for you. You ever go grocery shopping and you're doing your thing and there next to the cereal or the bread is meat. Somebody got meat out of the fridge area, like ground beef.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, you know what? I'm not gonna buy this. I'll just put it right here on this shelf. That's not that where it's going to rot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've personally seen meat, but I know that. I mean, just that is a pet peeve of mine in general, was just people not putting back the stuff where it goes and just assuming, some employee's gonna walk by and be like, oh, that's out of place, and then go put it back, and that's their job. That's what they get paid for. But no,
that's garbage.
That's
yeah, they do. They act in a terrible way, and they justify it by saying, what's it called? Like job security. It's just job security. I'm like, no, security. Dude, you suck. Yeah. You suck is what this is. You suck. So I used to work at Costco. You know that. And I worked there for a while when I was younger. And there was this like, something smells bad. What is it in this aisle? Oh, no. Like something's like real bad. And it just was, it was one of those things where you kind of thought maybe, and we're like, somebody, I don't know, it's nothing. And then the next day it's like, no, something's wrong. We had to get like forklifts out there. Somebody decided to take about 10 to 15 pounds of ground beef and throw it behind like a pallet of merchandise. So it was like you literally had to get like forklifts not a forklift, just a pallet jack to pull it out, get back there and dig and investigate. And when we found it, it was so rancid and so we had it was like, look how many people are wasting.
You made me throw up. Don't go into. I was going to ask, was there like maggots and stuff? No, don't answer.
Yeah, we're not going to cover that, but it was so bad. But that was a huge dude. This is not somebody having no awareness. This is somebody who sucks.
Yeah,
just be better. Just be better. It's so bad.
Don't do that stuff.
Yeah,
that makes me mad. I mean, yeah, even watching somebody in a department store or whatever, like take a shirt off the rack and then go like a few aisles down and find a different shirt they like. So they take the shirt that they pulled, 2 aisles back and just throw it on the shelf. Yeah. I'm like, come on. Like the place that has the worst case of that is Old Navy. Have you ever been to Old Navy?
I have, yeah.
It's like people feel like that's their right to do that in Old Navy because it's always just a mess.
Yeah.
There's just always, and I don't think it's the workers' fault. I think there's just a vibe that if you're in Old Navy, you can just throw clothes around.
Throw it all over the place.
Just
Who cares?
throw the clothes around, you know? That's definitely
and
cool.
I'm the dude who, like, if I'm shopping and I'm with my family or friends or whatever, and we're shopping and then we decide during, we're not going to, I've been with people who I care about. They're like, oh, I'm not, let's just not get this. And they put it back on the shelf. Not a perishable, but put on, I'm like, no, I'm going to go put this back. Mm-hmm. And they're like, they'll get it. I'm like, no, don't be that person. Don't be that person. Just be better than this. Just take it back to where it was. It's not that
take
difficult.
You that long. And,
yes.
and people who work here, they got better things to do. There's something similar too that I've seen at the grocery store. You ever like go to park your car at a grocery store and you're like, because you know how you can kind of tell sometimes, like, oh, I think there's an open spot up there. You can't always be 100% sure the spot's open, right? When you're driving through a parking lot, because sometimes you get up there and there's a tiny little Maserati or whatever that's pulled all the way in. You didn't see. The worst though is when you get to that empty spot and there's a shopping cart in the middle of the parking spot.
It's so easy to not leave it there.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's so easy to not leave it there. It's just like the little things that if we we want to, so check it out. Civilization. Now, I don't want to get too deep here. Okay. The civilization and peacetime, we all it's nothing more than a temporary ceasefire. Let's just call it what it is. Right. But when we consider ourselves to be civilized, we consider ourselves to be a collective group of people to make things better. What we are saying to each other is, I'm going to taper my behavior a little bit with the understanding that you're going to taper your behavior so that we can all collectively have a little bit of an easier life. Like that's what we're doing, right? We're just I'm pretty sure I can probably speed down it's illegal, but I could speed down the road and I'll be fine, but I'm just not going to. I'm not going to, not just because I could get a ticket, but because I'm part of this bigger picture, and let's just all be better. Let's just all be better. It comes in these little things like this. Like leaving a shopping cart in there is you saying in that moment, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care who this pisses off. Just spitting your gum on the street. I don't care who steps in it. I don't know that person. Who cares? Like that is literally that is going in the other direction of what it is to be civilized, because it's an agreement we all have, and a lot of people fail on it and whatever. But it's the little things that we can do to just be a little bit better, And now ready? Here's where I'll say, like, my daughter made me better about this. When I go to a restaurant now, if I'm in a booth. And then when we're done, as I'm talking with, whoever I'm with, I take all the dishes and the plates and I move them to the end of the table. So that the person who works there, when they go to clean up, they don't have to lean all the way in or climb into the booth to get to the stuff in the back. I'll be honest, I never really thought about that until my daughter, because she was, doing that job for a while and we were having a meal and she was doing it. I was like, what are you doing? She's like, it sucks to have to lean all the way in. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, wow.
You know what I mean? So now I do it every time.
Well, I'm going to think about that from now on. I don't think I've thought about putting it at the end of the table, but I always stack all the dirty dishes so that they don't have to at least do that piece.
Right.
And you like move all the silverware to the top plate so you can stack everything nicely. My wife and I, we've always done that, but yeah, that's a good idea. Move it to the edge of the table. Yeah.
It makes it so much easier. And it's going to sound crazy. It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to make it like super easy on them and stuff, Okay. I got another one.
Okay.
Are you ready? Don't gossip. Just don't gossip. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
It's fun though.
There's such a thing as doing it where it's harmless. I get it.
Yeah.
There's banter between your friends and stuff like that, but the difference between when it's that or when it's actually has a propensity to be harmful to somebody, and especially when you don't have all the facts. Like that. That's something that makes me
that's almost always the case.
Yes, dude. Yeah. Yes, it's always like, you ever had anybody gossip about you? Because I have. And it's funny because when it finally gets back to me, I'm all, okay, well, if you're interested in what actually happened, I'll be happy to let you know.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. Nothing's coming to mind now, but I think it's happened to everybody.
Yeah, at some sort of level. Yeah. Just be better. And in that same line, don't watch a 4-second clip on the internet and just convince yourself you know the whole story now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so bad. Now, this is directly to the media. Go be better. You guys are blowing.
We could talk about social media in a whole podcast topic, I think. But I think you're right. It's like you've heard the saying, there's 3 sides to every story.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That what he said, what she said, and then
the
actual truth.
Yeah.
So it's like that, like people take gossip as like, oh, that's actually what happened. And then also, do you remember as a kid playing the telephone game?
Oh yes. That's exactly right. Like media, the gossip, all that is the telephone game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what may have been the truth at the beginning, by the time it gets passed around a couple times, it's going to be completely skewed and incorrect. And then people hear it and they're just like, yeah, pitchforks out, or they think a certain way of somebody, and it's just wasn't right to begin with. But yeah, I think when I was my wife and I were talking last night, and I said, hey, this is what the podcast will be about tomorrow. It'd be nice to get some of your ideas, like more things to talk about. And one of the first things she said was gossip, and I was like, whoa, because that wasn't something that had come to my mind when we started talking about this topic. So, but you're absolutely right. Like, it could lead to people getting their lives destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't do it.
Don't do that.
Drama can be fun, but
yeah,
only if you're like on the outside looking in with your popcorn.
Yeah,
you're not part of the pitchfork crew or the other side of it.
There's bigger ones. Yeah, we can go back and forth.
Oh, I got a real big one.
You go.
Yeah, some jerk tried to break into my house through my daughter's window months ago.
Well, you're talking about outright crime at this point.
I'm talking about outright crime. That was, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
like don't be breaking into my daughter. Was so the story sucks, actually. It was middle of the night. My daughter came into the bedroom and she said, she was probably 8 years old at the time, 9 years old, somewhere in there. And she wakes me up. Dad, somebody's knocking on my window. And I'm like, what? I just couldn't believe it. I was like, I think you're just dreaming, like, why would, she's like, no, there was a knock on my window and they said, is anyone in there? And I was like, well, what'd you do? And she's like, I didn't say anything. And I was like, uh-oh. And so I got up and I went into her room and everything was okay. Nobody was there. And I went out into the street. I went out the house and nobody was around. And I was like, okay, hopefully it was just a dream and she was hearing things. And then I wake up the next day and he ripped the screen off her window.
Yep.
There was a t-shirt on the ground. We were doing construction in my front yard, so there was a little bit of a trench that I think he fell into.
We got your t-shirt and your left fingerprints.
Oh my gosh.
You are so dumb.
I don't know why this t-shirt was in my yard. And he like ripped the keypad off the garage door and stuff. And so I was like, oh, he really did try to break in. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, my daughter was in that room.
Yeah.
Had he actually found his way in, could have been really, really bad. And then I was just furious.
Yeah.
I was just furious. Like, and then I was just paranoid after that, like up to the security game. That's for sure.
I was very upset. Now, if you remember, when you told me about it, I said, okay, I'm coming over. And I was walking to your house. And as I was walking to your house, we're deviating, but it's kind of an interesting story. As I'm walking to your house, I started to pretend I was him. And so as I was pretending I was him and I was walking, I was studying every window I could find. And I found like 2 or 3 cameras in other neighbors' houses. And remember, I found some. I said, dude, come with me. And I knocked on the door and we just talked. And I was like, so I'm sorry, but can we look at that? We got the guy's face. We actually got a close up.
He had walked past their house. Actually, he had kind of walked through their front yard a little bit looking for a way in there too.
Because he was wearing the t-shirt.
Yeah, because he was still wearing the t-shirt that he left at my house.
Yeah.
So weird. So then we had the guy's face, posted it on
everything.
Next door neighbor, whatever stuff. And
Ring and...
Yep. And I don't think they ever found him or anything, but the whole neighborhood was at least then on alert. And like next thing you know, like all the neighbors are putting up video cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
So nobody ain't gonna do anything in my neighborhood anymore. We got cameras everywhere.
That guy was human garbage, but that's different, right? That's just outright crime, like outright crime.
Well, you said you wanted to go big, so
I went
right to it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Let's talk about murderers.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. No. But I'm talking about like the types of things where they genuinely don't think they're doing anything wrong. Right. And this is something that people are going to be like, well, I do that and whatever. And I'm not trying to be over the top at all. Don't tailgate. Don't do it.
You're not talking about what they do at football games where they're
Thank you for cleaning that up. Obviously,
partying
no, there's nothing. Okay, tailgating before a game is wonderful. I'm talking about on the road. It's, I'll be on the road and the speed limit's 75 and I'm doing 80 and somebody has to be 2 feet from my bumper. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is a situation to where when it comes to tailgating, this is, to me, I'm gonna get right there. This is one of the dumbest things that the human can do. And here's why. Because I've done this. I did this in one of my episodes before where I talked about risk analysis, right? Probability and impact and all that. Mm-hmm. Tailgating is all risk with no reward. Your reward is you might get to your destination a 1/10 of a second earlier. Like, really? Is that what you're going for here? Because what you're doing is you're risking your life, you're risking their lives. So you're risking, and now if they get out of your way, if you're thinking, well, they can get out of my way, it's like now you're making a car shift lanes because so that you can zoom on by. Now, if they're under the limit, I understand that can be frustrating, but just you be the one who goes around them, whatever, right? They should not be doing that. But when you're very clearly tailgating and it's very obvious and it's as dangerous as it is, don't do that. It's so very, very bad. I was coming back from Tucson one time. I have a high sensitivity to this, right? So my wife used to tailgate. When we first started dating, she was a big time tailgater. And I was like, she was driving and we were just starting dating. I was still in high school. And I was like, babe, you're tailgating. Don't do that. And, and it's not popular to tell them how to drive when you're, getting right at it. But I'm like, I don't care. I don't care if she breaks up with me. This is very dangerous. I was like, don't do that. And she
might break up with me, but maybe I'll save her life. Yeah,
exactly. Right. I know I'm not even joking. I'm like, I'm fine with it because I actually feel this strongly about it. So I'm like, you're tailgating, like you're really up on this person, but she was sort of taught to drive that way. She didn't really understand. Well, one day I had to follow her home. I don't remember what it was. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. So I tailgated her the whole way. And I mean, I got up in there and we got there and we get to the destination and she was visibly upset. And she gets on them all. That's what you're doing to people. And she was like, it was to her credit. She was like, that sucked. Like I was like, what is he doing? Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah. And you know me. Imagine it being a stranger. And so she just like from that day, she's never done it since, which is great. Right. But like, it's like if you tailgate, doesn't mean you're a bad person, but I'm telling you that you are making a very reckless, selfish, illogical decision that for no benefit whatsoever.
I think maybe also people don't really understand physics. Like the fact that, okay, if you're 5 feet from the car in front of you and you're going 5 miles an hour, probably be okay. Right. I don't know.
No, I understand what you're saying.
But if you're going 50 miles an hour, you need to times it by 10. You know what I mean? And make sure, because basically from the time it takes from you to recognize that they're hitting the brakes.
Yep.
Let's say you're going 50 miles an hour, right? And all of a sudden the car in front of you realizes there's a whatever deer crossing the road or whatever. We don't get the lot here, and they have to slam on their brakes. Are you going to be able to slam on your brakes in time to not rear end them? Right.
And can you trust the person behind you is going to be,
right.
Exactly.
It goes then you want to leave that comfortable distance. Yeah. It's like you said, it's like, what is there to gain by, are you trying to make more room on the road by keeping it tight? Like what's
nuts. Up? And that's the other thing. If everybody, so I do like the 2 second rule, right? As long as there's 2 seconds between them and me, I feel good. So the faster you are, that 2 seconds grows to about 100, 200, 100 feet, whatever it is. And that puts you in a better space. I'm coming back from Tucson one day. This is a couple of years ago, and I'm driving. And there's 2 lanes coming back and 2 lanes going there, right? And as I'm in the left lane and I'm going and I realize this person's tailgating me. It's starting to bug me. I'm not going to tailgate. That's the other thing. It's like they tailgate you. They want you to tailgate the person in front of them. I'm not doing that. So I'm keeping my distance. But what I'm noticing is that they will actually stop tailgating me to pass me and get in front of me. So all of a sudden now I'm tailgating them. They're just squeeze. I got to get 1 car ahead. So I'm sitting there and I realized not only is this person tailgating, but the person in front of him is tailgating. The person in front of them is like, it's like this line of morons. It's like that's how I felt. I said to my wife, I said, I'm getting out of this lane. Something's about to go down. I just know it. I got out of the lane and it wasn't 15 seconds later. Something, I don't even know what it was, but something up ahead happened that caused one of them to tap their brakes. So the person behind them saw the red lights and then they did their thing. Dude, cars everywhere. Everywhere. And somehow none of them contacted each other, but we had cars veering off the road, going down in the dirt and everything. Like they all avoided each other, but the chain reaction was unreal. And I realized if I didn't remove my 1 car from that equation, that could have been a pileup. You know what I mean? Like, I think like me removing my one car gave them the slight buffer they needed.
Jeez.
You know, it was just one of those things where I was like, what are you doing? It makes me crazy. So don't do it. Don't tailgate.
Yeah. I remember I was with a guy once that got so upset that he was getting tailgated that he brake checked him.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not cool either.
No, but don't make a situation more dangerous.
Right.
Don't do that.
He was driving me to practice. I was young. I was too young to drive, and he was driving me to drum practice or something. And on the way back to drop me off, it happened. And he like, what did he do? They were tailgating him. He needed to make a right-hand turn. And so what he did was, instead of like slowing down enough to turn, he like completely stopped his car before he turned to like see if they were going to hit him or not. And I was like, whoa,
don't antagonize.
Yeah, let's not do that. I don't want to get in a car wreck, you know, like.
Well, see, now you're talking about road rage, which is actually another thing. It's another big one. And road rage, this is big. Because I have a good buddy of mine is very, very quick to rage. And I am extremely long to rage. And especially on the road, because you always ends up paying the price as somebody that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
Yes, and he's one of my closest friends. I love him, but he'll have road rage, and we'll get into it. And we were younger kids. He got into some road rage when I was in the truck with him, and I tried to talk him off a ledge, and he was out of his mind. And I finally was like, "You need to listen, because this is not a scenario I'm ever going to let happen again." And sure enough, dude, I didn't drive in a car with him for like 2 or 3 years after that, to the point to where it was really bugging him. He's like, "Dude, just come with me." I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Seriously, still?" I'm like, "Still." It was like 2 years later, but it was one of those things because he was so over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a sad story, but back in the day, another Costco story, there was a girl who worked there, and she went on maternity leave. She had her first baby. And on her first day back to work, there's a road rage, and she ends up getting killed. She's not even part of it. Two complete separate morons. Like, it was one of those things to where, you know, usually if there's one person who sucks, they're dealing with somebody who doesn't suck, and it's balanced. But when you have two people who suck, everybody get out of the way. Well, she couldn't get out of the way, and she lost her life because of it. And she's got this brand new baby. I mean, this is all because you have this perceived contention with this complete stranger. Just back off, man. Just back off. Just be better. Come on, man.
Yeah, nothing is.
I like saying it.
Nothing's more important.
No,
you know, your life's the most important thing.
It's nuts,
and there's, jeez,
it's insane
to hear innocent people too get wrapped up in it. It happens all the time. You're right. All right, well, let's shift a little bit. Let's talk about, a lot of people have like a sense of smell where certain like smells will like really get to them. Yeah. And so
I know where you're going with this.
So the first thing I was thinking was, I think there used to be a sign in like the cafeteria where we work that said like, "Please do not microwave fish."
Fish, yeah.
Right? Like, they literally had to post a sign so people would stop microwaving their leftover fish in the cafeteria, or the little seating place to eat, because we had like microwaves and refrigerator and stuff to keep our stuff in. And it was right next to all the cubes, right? Like, so the cube land was right behind this thing, and like people would heat up their fish, and like people be working in cubes on the other side of the wall. Yeah. Just smelling that smell. And then it got me thinking, like, what other like smells have like really bugged me. And one thing that's happened quite a bit is, my wife and I, when we go out to eat, we like to sit on the patio when it's nice out. And a lot of restaurants now, like, there's no smoking even on the patios, which is nice. So what people do now to smoke is they just go right next to the patio or around the corner. They think they're around the corner, but like as they're smoking, all of it just comes right into the patio area that's no smoking. And you're sitting there trying to eat, and it's just like overwhelmed by cigarette smoke. And, and it's just, it is a little irritating, you know, like for them not to know that their smoke is literally going right into a public space. You know, secondhand smoke's obviously not good for you, and also it's just kind of,
it's also disgusting.
Well, yeah, it's disgusting when you're trying to eat.
Yeah, and I can feel comfortable talking. I used to smoke when I was younger. I did. I haven't for I don't even know. It's been many years. It's been a long time, but I used to smoke, but for some reason, even back then when I used to do it and I used to like it, I had like this overwhelming awareness to, not everybody likes this. In fact, some people hate this. So I was like extremely courteous, and that I would remove myself to where there was like almost no chance. And you know what? No chance. There's not going to be any chance. Obviously, I mean, if there was a venue where I don't know how this would present itself, but if for some reason there was like a kid was involved, then I would remove it entirely, or I just wouldn't do it at all. Like it just never. And it got to a point to where when I ended up, quitting many, many years ago, now when people are like rude, I want to be like, can you just be better? Like you have to understand, like, look how close you are to people that obviously hate this. Can you just walk that way a little bit? But there seems to be some sort of, I don't know, some of them have a entitlement. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not breaking any laws. So here we go. Yeah. It's like, well, you're breaking a certain law. It's like the law of etiquette, like what it is to just be courteous to others. It's not that difficult, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just understand. I guess as a smoker, you probably like aren't as acute to it. Like if you're a smoker and other people are smoking around you, you don't even think about it probably. But like when you're not a smoker, it's like, ew.
Yeah, but that's just it though. But I did think about it. Not like this was so long ago, smoking was allowed indoors back in the day, right? And they had, for that reason, they had smoking sections, and so I was like, in those scenarios, I was fine with it because the restaurant made that decision. This is the section for this. That's a section for, not to do it. So I was fine with it. I really was. This is the smoking section. This is what we're going to do. And so that's the only place we're going to do it. Then they got rid of that, which is fine. And they got rid of it, like, I think after I quit. Like it was like, that's how long ago I quit or whatever, but they got rid of it after I quit. But even in that scenario, if I was near the non-smoking section, I just wasn't having it. Like I would, if I went to the smoking section, I make sure I went deep into the smoking section. So I wasn't part of the problem because I just wanted to be courteous to others is all it really was,
There's another one with smells. Have you ever been in a crowded elevator and you just smell that somebody ripped a nasty fart? I mean, in an elevator, like an enclosed space.
Not an elevator, but in a plane. It's happening.
Planes.
But give them some leeway, man.
I will give a little bit of leeway for a plane because chances are you're on a flight that's like 3+ hours or whatever.
Elevator, you can't wait a few seconds.
And I know, for an elevator. That's the difference. Like, and planes usually have enough airflow that it kind of comes and goes pretty fast. But like, I was on an elevator once and there was probably like, it was pretty crowded. There's probably like 10 people. And it was just like, what the? And it's one of those things where it's like, you're with strangers. So you don't want to immediately start. Did you do that? Who fought it? Well, you want to like,
first of all, you don't want to do that anyways, because what's that going to do? Yeah. If somebody's like, it was me, does it just go away? Yeah. No, the problem still sucks.
No, then you go, come on, man. Could you wait till you're stopped? Like, seriously, it's happened. And I'm like, what are people thinking? Like, you can hold it a little bit longer. But yeah, I get it with the airplane one. Yeah. Not that I ever have.
I haven't either. I feel.
But I always get home and like my stomach hurts because I had to hold it for 3 hours.
This is gross. All right, so you brought up the elevator, and it reminds me of another fun story that leads into this. Is why do so many people have such a propensity to believe that they are really the only one in the world? Like how many times how many times I've wanted to like touch somebody's hand and be like, hey, can you hear your volume right now? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? What did you see what you just did? Did you see, do you have to stand in the center of the lane while grocery shopping, looking at your phone?
I hate that.
Like no awareness whatsoever.
I hate that. I mean, that's probably my biggest reason for like hating the whole like grocery shopping experience is because someone's always in your way. Yes. Or I'm like ultra sensitive. Like I'm always afraid I'm going to be in somebody's way, right? Because I care too much about what people think. Yeah. That I'm like constantly head on a swivel. Does somebody need to like get by me? Do I need to pull over? Oh, even when I pulled over the cart so that people can get by me, I look at what's on the shelves and find the least desirable product.
Me too.
Right? So I'm like, there's no way anybody's getting Gonzola beans or whatever they're called. And I'll go park next to those because
That's exactly what I. That's exactly
so I'm not
what I
blocking
do.
something somebody would actually want to buy.
Yes, dude. If I'm anywhere near like the freezer section and we need to stop and like look at a recipe on our phones or whatever, I will push the cart to the side of one of those like island freezers to where there's literally no shopping. It's just the side base of it.
Yeah.
And I find it's like this completely neutral zone. It's the same thing. And then I'll go shopping and there'll be somebody like looking at their phone, standing in the center of the aisle, just like,
yeah.
What
So
are you
you're blocking
doing?
traffic on both
Oh
sides.
my goodness. So I was in this is a while ago. This is a funny story. So a friend of mine, her name is Carrie. She's like we did a lot of traveling together. Me, my wife, Carrie, and her husband, because our daughters were on the same softball team. So we became really close with that family. So we were always in these like big hotels and there was it was a lot of trouble. It was a great chapter of my life. But Carrie and I got into an elevator, and the plan was we were going to go up to a floor. I don't know. Oh, no. Their floor was higher. Mine was below them. And then they were going to meet us down in the bar. So I said, yeah, I'll take the elevator with you. And then I'm going to get off and I got to go to my room. I got to do something real quick. And then I'll meet you guys. Me and my wife will meet you at the bar. She's like, okay. So as we're walking to the elevator, we're starting to go down and then it stops and some guys come in. And they were, I'm just for the record, I don't think these are bad people at all. But one of them, this is like no awareness. It's him. And then the whole world, the whole universe is revolving around him. We're in an elevator and he is screaming his story to his friends. Like he is so unbelievably loud. I cannot believe what I'm dealing with here.
Maybe he had something wrong with his hearing.
He didn't, dude. I'm telling you right now, I entertained all of that. Every bit of it. There was no deficiency here. None. He was excited about his story. He's like, oh man, he's like, we were talking, and he was like mid to late 20s. And it was like, I don't know what it was some sort of skateboarding thing that they did. I don't even know. He's like, it was amazing, man. We found the greatest place to do this. We ripped it up. It was all day long. Like he would not shut up. It was so loud. I'm like, oh my God. And so now I'm thinking, dude, you're in an elevator with strangers. Like, what are you doing? So as I get out of the elevator, I couldn't leave it alone. This is where I should probably be better. I turn around and I look at Carrie, who's still in the elevator. And I wanted to kind of throw a joke grenade in there. And she's in the elevator still with all those guys. I'm all right, Carrie, check it out. I'm going to head on over to my room. I got to do something real quick. I'm going to grab my comb, run through my hair. I'll see you down at the bar at 5. Like I did the whole thing. And as I'm doing that, the doors are shutting. And I'm watching her just try to keep it together. And the doors are shutting. And just as like a tenth of a second before the doors like concealed her face, she's all... So she starts laughing, dude. And I knew that guy was probably like, is he talking about me? You know what I mean? And so I went and did my thing and got down to the bar and she's like, you suck. She's like, that was so funny. We told everybody, but I was just like, I needed there to be a moment to where like his friends that day was like, that guy was knocking you. Like you need to just be aware. You're not the only one, man. Like
situational awareness is, dude. I mean, some people are like super awkward. Have you ever been like, back to the urinals? I don't know why it's come up twice today. But you're standing in the urinal in the bathroom, and some dude comes in and he's on his phone.
Oh my gosh!
At the urinal next to you, just talking, and I'm like, does the person you're talking to know what you're doing right now? This is like super awkward and. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You can't just like, hey, I got to hit the restroom. I'll call you back. You bring the phone or even into like the stalls. So they're like, going number 2. And it's like, come on. You don't need to be on the phone talking to somebody while you're doing that. And also there are other people here. Situational awareness, please.
It is unbelievable. That's something to where I'm like, am I being over the top? Because I'm with you. When there's people in the stalls just outright like, hey, yeah, I'll be at that meeting. Yeah. Now? Nothing. I was like, yes, you are doing something, dude. Just get it done and leave.
Oh, man. Well, it's for me, like I still have young kids, young enough that I don't like them being exposed to too much, profanity and stuff, especially my youngest. And it happens all the time. Like we'll be out in public and like there'll be people right next to us just like over the top cussing.
Yeah.
And it's like, hello, like look to your left. There is a little girl right here.
Yeah.
And I know at this point she's probably heard it all. So of course had to have talk about what's right and wrong, but it's like, come on, just look around.
Yeah.
Look around, look at your surroundings when you're talking. Like even you and I do that as adults, it's like, we try not to.
Yeah.
Like we'll cuss off camera and stuff when it's just me and you. But even when my wife's around, I know she doesn't appreciate it.
Yeah.
She doesn't like that language, so I don't say it around her.
Yeah.
You know, it's situational awareness.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that. Now so that your little one has an absolute gift. If anybody, it doesn't even have to be a curse word, but you could look all around, check every nook and cranny, and say one thing you shouldn't, and she comes out of the ceiling like Spider-Man.
She just pops out like a ninja.
Yeah.
Oh, it happens when my wife are watching, movies that are adults,
right?
Not adult.
Yeah, I understand.
Rated R. We'll say rated R for mature audiences if we're on Netflix. Geez, wow. Let's make sure we clarify. But you know how it is. There'll be that one scene in whatever American Pie or whatever that like comes out of nowhere, and like kids have not been around for the last hour and a half, and then the scene comes on, and boop, there they are.
Yep.
And that's a little bit different. Like that just happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're right. And she has a gift for showing up at the worst times.
That's what they do.
It's so funny though, because like when that happens, you know what you do. You panic.
Yeah.
And gotta pause the movie.
Yeah.
Yep. Not on that frame. I shouldn't have. Whoops.
And then it's just stuck there.
Yeah. I just made that situation 10 times worse. Yeah. It's just like throw something at the TV and break it.
Push your foot through it.
Just break the TV. That'll fix the problem.
So I'm a big animal person. We know that.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a few. What do you got? Five dogs, 2 cats,
and 2 cats. Yeah. 5
wow.
dogs, 2 cats. And they, to that end, I try to be like when my dogs are barking in the backyard, I'm like, guys, enough. Like, I don't want to be, and my neighbors are just the coolest. I'm very lucky. And so I have it separated so they can't get over to where they would really be a nuisance to my neighbors. But if I happen to have the Arcadia door open and I let them out or whatever, now if they're barking, it's like they're barking in my neighbor's backyard. Right. And I'm just like, stop that. Like, and so I cut it off like as soon as I can. But I'll tell you, it's amazing that from a pet owner's standpoint, when I'm walking my dogs, I bring poop bags with me. If they poop, I pick it up. Yeah. I throw it in the garbage. Prepared. We're not splitting the atom here. And it's amazing how many just steamers are all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed that too. So we were having our landscaping done in our backyard. And so the dog was locked in all day. So we had to take it for walks. So every day at lunch, we would take it for a walk around the neighborhood, which, obviously good for the dog, loves getting out, but she would always take that time to poop on the walk. And my wife was always really, really good about bringing bags to pick it up. But you're absolutely right. It's like, as she's doing her business, I'm looking at this random person's yard, and there's not a lot of people with grass in their front yard, but dogs like to usually go to the grass. And so there's always like another pile of poop from a dog. And I'm like, who did that? Yeah. Hopefully it's at least the same owner of that house or something, but I doubt it. It's probably just somebody that didn't. And our neighborhood even has those stations. Have you seen those?
Yes.
Where you can throw away the dog poop. You can get another bag. There's
more bags in there. Yeah.
It's like, come on. Like, we've made it easy for you to pick up after your pet, and you still refuse to do it. Like, that is, come on, man.
Come on, man. You're even giving it the NFL inflection. Come on, man. Yeah. I don't know. There's ways to just be a more courteous pet owner. So like, I can't even, I recognize that one of my dogs is relatively dangerous. And for that reason, I don't take him to the dog park where something could happen. Yeah. Yeah. We haven't been able to take our dog to the dog park either, just because she's not good at meeting other dogs. And she's not like violent or anything. She's just very like awkward about it. Like, just gets crazy, and we don't want to expose her or whatever. But have you ever heard of like stuff going down at a dog park? So you haven't brought your dog to the dog park because you're kind of worried about what would happen. And same with us. But you've brought other dogs that you knew would be good. Has anything ever gone down where it's like dog on dog or even dog on human attacks at a dog park? That have you seen it? Well, I wasn't there for it, and it was my dog Dobby. It was before we knew that he had a problem, and he didn't have a problem with dogs. He loves dogs, but this is a dog that we adopted. I actually told this story on stream the other day. This is a dog that we adopted. He was supposed to be euthanized that day, right? And because he just was like unadoptable or whatever. And the person who runs the organization was like, had a sweet spot for him, so took him home. And then we ended up adopting him. Well, he has a real problem. He didn't like me too much. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't like men.
Yeah.
And he was, we think he was being bred to be a fighting dog, right? And there was, and so he was just a mess, and it took a lot to get him to warm up to me, but he finally did. But the bottom line is this: he was fine with women, and he was fine with dogs. He just didn't like men. Once I got him over that, and he really likes me, but he doesn't like any other men unless once they're in. Oh, I really like you, but I still don't like any other men. You know, it's kind of a weird thing. You just gotta once you're in for life type thing, right? It's kind of weird. Anyways, he's at the dog park, and he had never had any issues with anybody at this time, and Gryffindor was really a puppy at the time. Dobby's older than Gryffindor, and a bunch of dogs went after Griff, right? One or two dogs who were like brothers went after Griff. And to this day, it's kind of muddy if they were trying to attack him or they were playing overly aggressive. But my wife bent down and picked up Griff. And as she picked him up, the dogs were jumping up, still trying to get him. So now I'm kind of upset with the owner of those dogs. It's like, can you want to rein this in, you know? So she picks up Griff and she's holding Griff up in the air, like and now Dobby sees that these dogs are not only going after his little brother, but now they're going after my person, and he started to pick a fight with the dog. So now he's outmatched. So he gets in a fight with two other dogs trying to keep them away. And as he's doing that, a woman reaches in to break up the fight, and he bites her.
Oh,
right. And so he bit her, and she was awesome. And my wife called me while they were there and said, get her number. We're covering this, whatever it takes, you know? And the woman was really sweet, and we covered it. It cost me some money to get some stitches and stuff like that. And the woman even said, she's like, you're not supposed to reach into a dog fight. I know better than that. Like she took a lot of ownership. I'm like, well, you're not supposed to bring a dog that bites, and we should know better than that. You know what I mean? But he hadn't bitten anybody, but we should have known like he's a little psychologically not there. We should be better. Well, if I'm going to do the right thing, I said to my wife, I'm like, he will never go back. He'll never go back. And I know that sounds sad. And I was like, but he bit a lady's finger. Who this lady was like, I shouldn't have done that. Can you imagine if he bit a child in the face?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, so here's the bottom line. We don't have to worry about that happening because he's never going back. It doesn't mean he has a bad life. He's very loved. He has a big backyard. You know, he has great dogs that he plays with all day, but that was one of those. So I wasn't there to see it, but it had happened. But
yeah,
I felt terrible, but I tried to not be part of the come on, man. I think that if I had taken him back and he bit somebody, come on, man. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've heard like stories or whatever of people just being out walking their dogs, and somebody else will be walking their dog, but not on a leash. And all of a sudden it attacks, and they're like the people that were walking their dog properly on a leash have to put their pet down all of a sudden because it got that messed up. You know, like I've heard stories like that, and it's like, you really should be aware of what your animal's capable of. And something, I guess, you know, sometimes take you by shock if it's the first time, you know, but I mean, it's tough. It's tough. So yeah, you're doing the right thing. You know, I think, you know, if you can't trust him at the dog park, then you can't take him to the dog park. Same thing. You go take him for a walk, probably got him on a leash, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what he's going to do. So, but some people aren't that astute, aren't that aware.
You know, and he's probably going to one day listen to this. So, buddy, you know I'm talking about you. Understand, I love you. This was one of those situations where it was like, if he had a little bit more frame of mind. Now, he was a new pet owner. He was a new dog owner at this time, and he had a dog that was a beast. This dog was like pure muscle and also really aggressive. And we went on a camping trip, and we were all there. And I remember my wife had specifically said, is he bringing Buddy, right? The dog, because if so, we shouldn't bring Cyrus. That was my dog at the time, Cyrus. We shouldn't bring Cyrus because Buddy's got a problem. So we reached out, and the plan was, no, they're not bringing Buddy. I'm like, okay, well, we can bring Cyrus, because Cyrus is as docile as they come. Cyrus was my black lab.
Yeah, I remember him.
Oh, such a sweet dog. As docile as they come, the most loving dog like if you looked at him, you were his new favorite thing. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what, if you were human, if you were man, woman, you were dog, didn't matter. He just loved everybody, everything. And so we went, we're camping. It's there's a lot of us, and my buddy and his dog Buddy hadn't shown up yet. And they got there, it's like at midnight. And you know the way we camp in the middle of nowhere. They get there at midnight, and he gets out, and he's got the dog. And it's kind of like, what? This is why we checked. But he didn't know, because he's not, this is his first dog, you know? And I'm like, oh, this is not good. And so I go up, I'm like, hey man. And he's like, can you take Buddy? I'm like, yeah. So I had Buddy on the leash, and Buddy, he's fine with me. He just doesn't like dogs. And here comes Cyrus, who had gotten like he wasn't on leash. He didn't need to be, but he's like, oh, look, a dog to play with.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's not good. So I'm like holding Buddy back to the best of my ability. And I can't, I'm not strong enough. This dog is muscle, dude. And they get close, and Buddy goes into instant kill mode. I'm going to kill this dog. And this dog is pure muscle, dude, muscle and teeth. And he latches on to Cyrus. And Cyrus is like shocked, like, what is going on? He latches onto his neck, and I'm pulling Buddy back, and I'm trying to separate him. And then I realize, okay, you can't just kind of try. You got to give everything. And I lower myself, dude. I push off with everything. I end up pulling both dogs on the leash because he's got my dog. I'm pulling back as hard as I can. He lunges forward. He takes me off my feet. I'm like, this is a nightmare. And Joey just jumps into the dog melee and just gets him apart, does his thing. And it was bad. I almost lost my dog that night. Wow. And here I am in the middle of the forest, and my dog is coated in blood. And as I'm trying to like take care of him, I'm pressing on one part of his body, and blood's coming out the other part of his body.
Oh no.
And so I'm like, all I care about is I just want to make sure that these are superficial and there's no like, organ damage. And it was, and there didn't seem to be, but here we are in the middle of the forest. So I'm just tending to him all night, and not luckily, but Buddy got a pretty bloody eye at the same time. Like they kind of got each other. And the next day, I mean, obviously my buddy felt terrible. You know what I mean? Just absolutely terrible. And he wanted to pay for everything. I'm like, no, that's all right. And it was a hefty bill, but we had to go to the dog ER and everything. And it was interesting because his wife at the time was either a brand new wife or a brand new girlfriend. I think brand new wife. And I think they were just recently married. And she was, I guess this is not good for him, but she's like, you cannot bring that dog. He's like, he'll be fine. And they went back and forth, and then they're there
proved her right.
Yeah, dude. Well, they're there for 30 seconds, and it turned into a nightmare. You know what I mean? But you know what? That never happened again. So he was able to learn. Yeah, because
after that, he listened to everything she said and just did whatever she said.
Yeah, probably.
That's probably it. Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But like we said, maybe he didn't quite know, but obviously people around him felt it. Right?
Yeah. And you have to listen sometimes to people. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but there's I don't know. I don't want to give him too much static because it's one of my favorite people in the I don't want to give him static.
Yeah, we all make bad choices.
We all
sometimes,
make boneheaded moves, right? We all do it. You're absolutely there. You know what? That's a good point. That's a good point. You ever done something to where you're like, was that really me? Did I just do that?
Yeah. Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day. No, there are times when I'm like, I'm better than that.
Yeah.
I cannot believe I just did that. And that's just the momentary lapse.
Yeah, we're all growing and learning and stuff. And so if some of these things we mentioned, the people listening do, maybe they didn't realize it.
No forgiveness for the gum.
No forgiveness for
the gum. I'm not you spit your gum on the ground, you suck. Pick it up.
Oh man. Before we end, I want to drop a big one. Can we drop a big one? Because I have like a serious,
you gotta take a poopy.
I want to, I want to do bad things to these people, kind of situation. Scammers.
Oh yes, dude.
Scammers, dude.
Oh, this is all right. That's a different level.
So now Mark Rober is my absolute hero.
Oh yes.
He is my absolute hero. So we started with the glitter bomb box, right? Those people, porch pirates stealing stuff.
Yeah.
But recently, I guess not so recent now, but did you see the video he did about the people on the scamming the telecom stuff?
Oh, I haven't seen.
Have you not seen it?
No, I've seen.
They infiltrated one of those buildings where they all work out of. The people that are like they'll call and they'll be like, something's wrong with your computer. We need to remote in, and then they change their bank account information in front of their eyes or whatever, and they get them to transfer money or whatever. And so he infiltrated them and recorded their phone calls and did a whole bunch of pranks and stuff. Dude, okay, you're watching this video. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But the point is scammers in general, it's just the most despicable thing
it is
ever.
It's disgusting.
And it's as a YouTuber, it happens in my comment section. You've probably seen it, where they pretend they're me and they say, you want a Xbox, just contact me on Telegram and we'll get it to you or whatever. And it's happening to almost all the YouTubers now. And it just saddens me because there's nothing I can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could spend all day, every day deleting their comments, but I don't have time for that,
Yeah.
And it just saddens me to know that like they're getting away with it.
Yes, they are.
They're getting away with it. And in fact, they're doing it for a reason. It's actually working.
Yeah.
Like people are falling for it, and meanwhile I'm getting contacted. Hey, there's a scammer comment and I'm like, yeah, but what am I going to do? What am I going to do? YouTube's not doing anything about it,
Well, could YouTube? I mean, there's in the problem here, dude, is that there's a bigger implication here as to why this is so profoundly problematic. Is that I think you know enough about me to know that my distaste for thieves it's really high. I lived in a pretty bad area for a while, and to the point where it was like I couldn't afford how many times I had to replace the glass on my car because it was constantly being broken into, to the point to where I left it unlocked. Just open the door and rummage. You know what I mean? And they still broke the window. I started leaving my door open. I was leaving it. I was like, well, whatever it's going to take for you to stop breaking my window. Like it was just so, there was nothing left for you guys to steal anymore.
Yeah.
You know me, how I feel. I hate thieves so much. Scammers is different because I'm not defending thieves. I think they're garbage. I got to tell you, at least they're, they know what they are. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but scammers are different because scammers are literally capitalizing on other people's trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like when two people who have never met can trust each other, that's magic. And it happens. It does happen. But when scammers do that, what you've done is you've taken more than this person's money. You've taken more than these gift cards that you're convincing them into or whatever. You've taken a part of their optics on humanity.
Yeah.
That's what you've done. And more often than not, it's typically the elderly who they don't play in this technical space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also
easy prey.
Yes. And it's like how in the world can you convince a sweet old lady to just hand over thousands of dollars and sleep just fine that night? How can you do that? I mean, where this is a whole, and I'm with you 100%. This is the biggest, like, come on, man. Like this is so bad. It's so bad. And so Mark Rober, and I've seen another guy out there that does that where he's like a computer genius. And so he does a voice modulator that makes him sound like a sweet old lady.
Mark teamed up with them for the video.
Is that right?
Yeah,
there you go.
Amazing.
Yeah. Maybe I did see it then because I don't know, but this guy's able to like after he gets in their system and then here's the best part, dude.
He's like telling them what their real names are.
Oh, he's showing them live video feed of them. And and here's the best part. Then he's like, now watch this. And he brings up their computer out. He's to delete all their files. And they start really selling themselves like they're the victim. Mm-hmm. Like he's the bad guy. I'm like, you must be joking. It's unbelievable, dude. God, see, you got me going now.
Yeah. It's really frustrating.
If I was smart enough to do what Mark does and what this other guy does, that's what I would do with all of my free time. And I'm not even joking. It would be dedicated to ruining the lives of the people that ruin the lives of others.
Yeah. Well, he apparently got a couple centers shut down.
Yeah.
Because like he was able to show all this stuff to the police and they actually went and shut him down.
Yeah. That's a start.
It's a start.
That's a start. Yeah. We just need more people.
Need more focus on it for sure.
Do you remember, dude? I wanted to I wanted to write a movie called like Virtual Vigilantes, where it was basically people that had the capacity to do this, to do this and saying I'm not going to benefit from this, but I'm going to dedicate my life and my skill set to shutting down these people. And then all of a sudden they started to really exist. Mark Rober, this guy here, other people have done it. It's just so beautiful. Yeah. I just love these people so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Mark, if you're listening, you got to come give us a visit.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. You're invited to the podcast anytime. Come on by. Look, we got a spot on the couch right here for you, bud.
I'm with you because you say he's your hero. He's my, ever since the Porch Pirate one, I'm all, this guy. I love him. Amazing. I love him. He's so sharp, dude. And he worked for NASA for a while there. Do you remember he created a dartboard that you can't throw and not hit a bullseye? Have you seen that? Yeah. Like it's like you just throw in the general direction and the dartboard corrects itself so you hit a bullseye every time. How is anybody that smart?
Dude's a genius. I love that. I love that he's using his genius for good too.
Yeah.
So
That's a good way to end it on a positive note.
Yeah, there you go.
I love you, Mark. I hope that there's some sort of chance.
Officially invited to the podcast.
Somebody out there knows Mark Rober. Make sure he sees this because we love him. He's our absolute hero. I love him, dude.
Plus, we need to get a guest on this show. It's been long enough.
We got the space now. Are they really going to sit in the center? That's too weird.
We'll figure it out.
We'll get it.
We'll get him a chair over there somewhere.
I sit on my lap.
All right, man. Another good one. Hopefully, it wasn't all negative energy. We just the whole podcast was just
it's
letting out all these
just
issues we have with people.
Yeah. How about this? I'll end with one more and we'll leave. It's another thief one. Have you seen the rise in people stealing catalytic converters?
Oh yeah, to the point that where my car that sits in the driveway, I check it every so often to make sure it's still there.
Yeah, you like that is because of the precious minerals and the precious metals inside the catalytic converter. You just wrecked this person's day. Like for a few extra bucks. Yeah. Come on, man.
All right. Don't be that person.
Don't be that person.
All right.
Be better.
Everybody be better. We're trying to.
We'll do it too.
Yeah. All right, man. See you next time.
Bye.